to WION Business Masters, a brand new business talk show where we bring forth the stories of business leaders. And joining us today is a man who has been steering one of the most prestigious luxury automobile brands in India to new heights. He's a visionary leader who redefines excellence in the automobile industry. It is my pleasure to welcome Managing Director and CEO of Mercedes-Benz India, Mr. Santosh Iyer, to WION World Business Masters.
Thank you. Thanks for having me here.
Mr. Iyer, first up, you have an illustrious career spanning nearly 2 decades, and you also complete 15 years with Mercedes-Benz India this year. How has the journey been like?
Well, I can say I am feeling blessed actually to be in an industry which I love, which is the automotive industry, being worked for many brands spanning over now more than 20 years. And more so in the last 15 years, working for Mercedes-Benz has been a dream come true. You know, when you love the trade, when you love what you do, and growing within the organization over the years, I think there is nothing more that you can ask for. So I think that's been a great journey, and I'm still enjoying and looking forward for the next 15 or 20 as years go by.
Absolutely. You've also played a very pivotal role, like you also mentioned. You've grown within the company. Just to mention, one of the most prominent ones is the retail of the future model. Talk to us about what was the thought process behind it, and if you can just shed some more light about your diverse role with Mercedes-Benz India.
See, frankly, when I looked at Mercedes-Benz after I joined in 2009, in 2018-19, we were discussing about the next future of the brand in India. And we said that luxury starts where necessity ends. So we need to give more experiences to customers. So the way we were doing the retailing model, which is basically sell cars to our dealers and the dealers will sell cars to the customer, which is a traditional auto retailing model, that was actually an impediment to customer experience and luxury. So we actually turned it around and we said we will be the brand to sell directly to consumer. So I'm proud to say that more than 3 years now that we have implemented 50,000 luxury cars Mercedes-Benz sold to customers directly. I think it's one of our secret recipe also to get closer to the customer, to ensure that they get what a luxury brand needs to deliver. We took out the bargaining out of it, price negotiation out of all the sales transaction. So I think it's been remarkable, and the success of it is also after India now we have Australia, Germany, UK, many markets which have gone live with the same direct-to-consumer model. So I think it's a very proud feeling for us in India to have implemented a model which is really customer-centric, puts the customer in the center, and also redefine luxury.
Clearly, Mr. Iyer, under your leadership, the brand has grown phenomenally. Just to add to that point you made about consumers, I just want to quote one of your quotations. You've said that we are not just selling a car, we're selling a complete experience. Having said that, can you describe what perhaps is your core strategy to remain on top of your game? Because clearly you are leading the industry at this point of time.
No, so the simple mantra I keep telling our team is keep the customer in the center. It may sound the most clichétic, you know, of saying that, because all brands keep customer at the center. But I think I also have a mantra to say that execution is the only strategy customer sees. So you may have customer centricity in PowerPoint slides, but can you deliver it? And when I say deliver it, be it with products. So we have now India-specific cars like the right-hand drive E-Class to the EVs that we are locally producing in Pune. When I spoke about our retailing model, which is very specific to the market, or our training programs and our stuff. So everything we are able to execute, keeping the customer in the center. I think that's the core, and we will not stop here. We will have to continue. And at the same time, I can say that I am also really fortunate to have a fantastic team. I keep saying I am proud to have the best automotive talent with me working. So the success is not mine, it's the strength of Mercedes-Benz India's team back in Pune, which is relentlessly pushing the brand forward.
Absolutely. Just taking a few steps back, I also want to talk about the beginning of your career. Before joining Mercedes-Benz, you worked with various automotive giants like Yamaha Motors, and you also had a brief stint in Nepal, if my research is correct.
You have done a bit of research,
If you can just talk to us more on that, and what actually inspired you to join the automobile industry?
So, it was not by design, it was by default, to be honest. I was selling capital equipments in India. I started my career with a company called Avery in Bombay, and then later on moved to Nepal with a friend of mine, starting a capital equipment engineering business. Did well, and he was also incidentally a distributor for Yamaha, and there was two-stroke bikes in 97, 98, which got banned in Nepal, and they had to introduce four-stroke. So he asked me, hey Santosh, this is my big business, can you help me establish a four-stroke Yamaha bikes in Nepal? We did quite well. Of course, when I came back to India, it was nice to join Yamaha at that point of time, because I had the experience in the two-wheeler space. So it was by default and not by design, and I just loved the space. I anyways loved cars, bikes, driving a lot. So I said, when you do what you love to do, you are more successful.
You grow more.
You grow more, and I think that's been quite fortunate, as I said, to be part of this industry and the ecosystem.
Can you share some key milestones of your career and some changing trajectories?
So, I learnt a lot, I can say, with each brand that I worked. Also, I had a brief stint with Toyota, where I was part of this Innova launch in India. Again, fortunate to work with a good set of leaders there, learnt a lot. But then coming back to Mercedes-Benz, when I joined, I was even asked, it's a very aspirational brand in India. We are in India for 30 years. But in 2009, we were losing grip on the market. Some of our German rivals were getting into the market. And I was asked, are you sure you want to join Mercedes-Benz? I said, yeah, this is the best brand in the world, most valuable brand, why not? But they said, but right now it's not doing well. And I think that's the opportunity, I thought, to change something. So we got back to pole position in 2014, 10 years now, we have been right there after losing in between, I would say. But I think this journey has been great. Transition to retail of the future, another milestone. But I also enjoyed my stint in customer services, a lot of issues, a lot of challenges we could do there. When I got into the role, I was completely new to that business, parts to customer service operations. But I think all of this, the company has been kind enough to give me different roles, different assignments within the organization, and I enjoyed each one of them.
How do you perhaps envision the brand Mercedes-Benz India evolve the next 5 to 10 years? And what are some key areas that you see will be perhaps central in that growth?
So, firstly, again, I keep saying to our teams that we are just custodians of the brand. This brand has been there for 140 years, most valuable brand. In India, a billion dreams. I think there is a lot of dream to own the three-pointed star. And there are a lot of kids who want the three-pointed star. So if you go to their books, they keep drawing the three-pointed star when it's a car. And the only brief to my team is, as long as they draw the three-pointed star, our job is done, because we are continuing the dreams to continue for the next generation, and this brand is all about those emotions. So that's the long-term view. In the short run, of course, India is growing. India, we have seen the luxury car market growing this year. It should be in the region of 50,000 cars. Of course, we are leading the charge, but what can we do more? Because I still feel luxury cars are not sold the way and serviced the way it should be in terms of the environment, experiences. There is a lot we can do to change customer experiences. They are joining a community. They are not buying a car. And that's a shift that needs to come. So it's easier said than done. I know a lot of your viewers are also customers of ours. They may say, yeah, I fully agree. And there may be some who say, no, I still had a challenge. But I think that's the task. It's a uphill task to get our teams get into that direction. But we will get there. We are very sure that we are right there on top, and we want to continue setting new standards.
But Mr. Iyer, you do outline, you've given us a lot of brief about how Mercedes-Benz India has grown in the country. I also want to ask you as to what values or principles do you follow in ensuring that the company remains true to its heritage while also embracing the current challenges and sustainability?
See, the fundamental baseline for us is to respect for integrity and compliance. There is we work in there is no business at the cost of compliance and integrity. So that's something very standard for every person. So we keep saying we can forgive any mistakes, but nothing to do with compliance and integrity. That's a cornerstone of what we do. The other cornerstone is, of course, a sustainable future. We also believe that there cannot be a luxury without sustainability. So they both go hand in hand. We need to decarbonize. We need to do everything in that direction. But frankly, one of the core quality I would say today is resilience as well. The world is changing every day, every hour. So tomorrow's leaders and today's leaders have to be much more resilient, much more agile to take care of these changing environment around them.
I also want to talk about your education journey. You're a graduate from Mumbai University and you also hold a degree of MBA from the University of Indianapolis. How did your education journey prepare you for a career in the automobile industry?
Again, a very honest answer, education didn't play a bigger role. For me, I had, my dad he was a spastic, he was suffering from a motor neuron disorder, so I used to help him he was an engineer, he used to do consulting services, so I used to go with him. I used to love, maths, physics as my core subjects, but I didn't take science. I thought taking a stream in commerce, I can support him. I learnt everything on the shop floor with him, quality standards to production environment. On the other side, because I had my education stream as commerce, I learnt a lot of finance and accounting. So for me it was best of both worlds.
Right.
But later on, the biggest education, I would say the intervention was done by Mercedes-Benz, where I was nominated for a 2-year program on corporate governance and compliance in Lake Constance. I also did a CSR certification with University of St. Gallen. So here I met a lot of colleagues, international colleagues, spent almost 18 weeks in that environment with them. A lot of cross-cultural learning about leadership, about all the geopolitical topics as well as business. I think that was my biggest influence when I say for my leadership as well.
You've championed various projects, various initiatives under Mercedes-Benz India. What is something, if you can just name one, that you're most proud of?
Well, I already touched upon retail of the future, which is the direct-to-consumer model, which of course I am quite proud of. But if I even go back, my role of when I was in customer services, there was a perception that Mercedes-Benz cars are okay to buy, you can buy, but expensive to maintain.
Right, yes.
Here, I also challenged the team saying, why can't we come up with ownership solutions, service packages? Let's all get the cost of ownership down. India is a cost-sensitive market. Can we bundle them? And I think when we started, the team said we can do 5-10% of customers will take such packages. But today, more than 50% of customers buy a car and they buy a package plan so that they can enjoy the car. They don't need to worry about after-sales maintenance costs, etc. So I think that was again something close to my heart, and still some more work to be done on cost of ownership, but we are getting there.
I mean, this just brings me back to that quotations of yours that you're not just selling a car, but an experience, holistic experience as a whole. When you look back at your illustrious career, you've helmed so many diverse roles. Is there something that, when you think, something you could have done differently perhaps?
Well, as far as my career is concerned, I have no regrets because I enjoyed every moment. As I said, I didn't plan. I just went for whatever opportunities came my way. But I also love to open doors for a lot of my colleagues, my friends, my peer group. Maybe there was the one or the other opportunity where I feel I could have opened a bit more doors, or I could have helped more of my colleagues to grow in their career, because I really feel that, we have an organization with a lot of people working hard. Not everybody is able to get what they should. So maybe in some of those areas, when I look back, one or the other opportunity, maybe I could have also helped somebody to grow a bit more faster than what it could have been.
Having achieved so much, how do you deal with challenges? If I can just say, do you sometimes get nervous, or you think that I can deal with anything that comes my way?
Well, on the lighter side, my name is Santosh. It translates into happiness and a bit of peace. But I am a normal human being. I also get ruffled at times. But I just go back, when I look back into my life as personally and professionally, there has been a lot one has gone through. And if you don't learn from those experiences, and if you, as a leader, if you get bothered, trust me, the entire team below you, the organization is shattered. So I think a great leadership quality also demands that you are able to take things into your stride. The resilience is, I think, that's why I re-emphasize a very core quality in today's time for leaders to be resilient. Around the corner, there can be news, coming from different angles. But I think that's our job. That's our job as leading the organization and the company to take it, digest, and then don't spread the panic or the rumors, or I would say the stress around you. It's tough, but I think that's why I love doing my job as well.
Who has been your source of inspiration throughout? Or is
Well,
he a
I
role
was
model?
blessed to have a lot of good bosses, you know, be it Avery, be it in Toyota, also in Mercedes-Benz and others, a lot of leaders who influenced a lot of leadership. But I still will credit a lot to my dad. I spent a lot of time with him, you know, his tenets on what life was. You know, being physically challenged, he always looked life positively, you know, and that also answers a bit to your earlier question, that he never felt that, you know, just because you are physically challenged, now you are somebody. So he always challenged life. He always looked at more positively. He used to look at people who couldn't even walk, saying, see, I'm better off them than looking at people who are happily running. So I think it's about half glass full, half glass empty. How do you look at life? So my dad, for sure.
And always look at the half glass full and not empty.
Yes.
What are your long-term goals for your leadership journey, and how do you plan to achieve them? Of course you will, but if you can just outline that as well.
As I said, I personally like to open doors for a lot of colleagues. I think Indians, I'm quite happy to see a lot of my colleagues now doing a lot of jobs in Stuttgart, in Malaysia, Singapore. But and there, I would be more than happy if I can help people grow in their career, not only within the organization, because I think India is growing, a lot happening in India. So as long as I'm able to help people, but in the long run, I also want to give something back to the society, work something. A lot of youth coming in, not with the best skill sets, I would say, coming out of colleges, and if I can play some role that they become, you know, they can contribute much more to the society, it helps. So at some point, get down on one treadmill, but get into a different treadmill. So I am still, I am a restless guy by nature, so I cannot be idle, but that treadmill should give something back to the society and not just to the organization.
And how do you foresee the growth of India's luxury car market thriving the next few years? We do know that people do want to, like you also mentioned, the 3-star car, but there's a lot of reluctance also in India. How do you plan on changing that, and what changes do you see for the luxury car market in India especially?
So, you know, India is a land of billion dreams. You will have the Bharat Mobility Show happening in Jan now in Bharat Mandapam here, one of the biggest auto shows in the world, which we are putting, most of the OEMs would be there. And you will see the number of visitors, you know, almost 1 million visitors. And I keep wondering, even if half of them buy cars and Mercedes-Benz cars, we would be a different planet. But I think one is the wealth creation. So I think if you look at the per capita GDP, it's growing. Wealth is growing. India is growing. On the other side is the cultural topic. You know, what's your priorities? Do you want to reward yourself, spend on yourself, or you want to save for your kids, for the next generation? Also, social security not being so transparent. Sometimes you tend to oversave for that uncertain future. And I think that's something which holds back luxury consumption in India a bit more compared to the Western world. It's good and bad, so there is nothing right and wrong here, I would always say. But I think the younger generation is a bit different here. When I look at iPhone sales, for example, the growth in some of these categories is phenomenal. So they still, I think the parents have made a wealth. There is food on the plate, roof on the head. So now they want to enjoy. They also want to, they have studied abroad, they come back. So yeah, I am still optimist of a much more stronger future for luxury cars.
And Mr. Iyer, keeping all the business talks aside, let's get to know you more. What does your day look like, and how are you, like a 5 a.m. person, or do you prefer waking up late?
I am a 5 a.m. person. I cannot be working late. Actually, by 6, 7 in the evening, I switch myself off, and then it's only need to do work and emails, but I cannot think creatively by late evening. So it's more, I'm a morning person, get up early in the morning, do my yoga. I save time by having breakfast in the car. I have a commute of 1 to 1.5 hours from home to office. Our factory is in an industrial area, so it takes 1.5 hours of commute in the morning. So I use the time even to have breakfast in the car maybe, and also catch up with all the stuff that's happening around the world.
So it does look like you take out 26 hours out of 24 hours in a day. What are your personal interests or hobby that you indulge in when you have time?
Well, you know, at an early stage, I started being in the luxury space. I liked golf. I started picking up and playing. But then I have 3 kids and they are growing up, 14 and 10. So I said, let me spend time with them. So for me, that's a big stress buster. Nowadays, they don't have much time for me, as much as I can give them sometimes. But yeah, that's right now not an hobby, but that's my responsibility. And I just feel I should spend more time with them.
Right. I also have to ask you your all-time favorite Mercedes-Benz.
Wow. So, when I go to Stuttgart, when I see all those old classics, I get goosebumps. I can start from the 300 SL and so on and so forth. But I think a very practical car, when I joined this company, we had a car called the C63 AMG. This was definitely a naturally aspirated engine, gives goosebumps when you drive. Very practical. So, for me, that's still a very iconic personal car for me.
Do you prefer speed or comfort when you're looking at cars?
As I'm aging and also in the traffic, and when I'm spending more time, I'm looking more comfort, to be very honest. That's my preference at this stage.
In one of your interviews, you said that you love traveling and also reading. Is there any book that has made any major impact on you?
Yeah, I had a coach called Peter Franklin. He used to teach in Warwick Business School as part of this engagement. And he has written a book called The Mindful International Manager. I think it's a great book. It's a simple book. It's nothing rocket science. But if you're working in a multinational, in a cross-cultural environment, I think it has basics there. And if someone can understand, it helps you to work much better in a multicultural environment.
Of course, you've said that your father has been your inspiration throughout your life. Any piece of advice that you received from him or from anybody that has actually had a major impact on you?
I think it's more going back to basics and simplicity, working hard and be strong on the integrity side. These two are the key topics. So, that moral compass, it's not what the book tells you to do, it's a moral compass what you need to follow. And at some point also working hard, there's no substitute. You can do everything else, but I think that these are two tenets I continue to follow and also taking inspiration from him.
Right. For all our viewers who are watching this show and who aspire to be like you, for young professionals starting their career today, what would your piece of advice be for them?
Firstly, I would advise do what you love. That's very important. Don't get into automotive industry for the glitz and the glamour. Let me say that it's not highly remunerative compared to many sectors. So you will only succeed in this sector if you love the trade, if you love what you are doing. Of course, it's also intense because the growth in the market is not as strong sometimes, and sometimes it's very strong. So, post-COVID, you had a huge wave. Right now, you see plateauing, but it will come back. So one has to be resilient. One has to work hard through the system and no quick wins. So that's something I would always like to tell youngsters much more and more. There's no shortcut. Just follow the process, be patient.
Right, which is something that I think everybody is lacking. What personal qualities do you believe that an individual needs to join the automotive industry?
So one is the technical competencies, because automotive industry, when I say, is huge in terms of domain, sector, knowledge and stuff. So there is, you need to pick up the right competencies. But on the other side, I would say leadership qualities, which I mentioned earlier, be it resilience, be it also to ensure that you are agile, because this industry is going through the biggest transformation in history. 140 years back, we had this transformation when horse carriages to cars. When we invented cars, that was one level of transformation. Right. And I think the next level is coming now with electrification coming. So build in the new skill sets. Everything is converging, including AI. So there is no industry. It's everything is together. The mobile phone, the software industry is as close to automotive industry, as close to AI. So I think you need multiple skill sets and also be prepared for the long haul and be ready with a very resilient mindset.
Your one piece of advice, a crisp piece of advice for all that is watching you?
Stay true to your heart, stay true to yourself. Be authentic, I would say.
Right. So, Mr. Iyer, how has 2024 been for Mercedes-Benz India under your leadership?
I think, this year we had a motto of desire to exceed not only on the sales volume, but also in terms of customer expectations and all the other initiatives. We have grown in network. We are now spread. We have the largest dealer network in India, more than 100 outlets in the market. And sales growth has been great. Till Q3, we have grown double-digit growth. We have also committed to a double-digit growth to end the year. The way things are going, last 20 days left in December, as I say, world is uncertain. But if things go right, this should be the best ever year in our history of Mercedes-Benz in India. So quite positive, quite strong. But what's remarkable is also the electrification. India is on this path of electrifying And here, last year, 3% of our sales or 2.5% of our sales were electric cars. This year, it's already 6%. So I think it's doubling, and that shows that electrification is just catching up. We have a huge demand coming for our newly launched electric EVs as well. So the market is maturing. We have a lot of top-end cars selling. We have electrification happening. I think 24 would be the best ever year for us, and now already planning for 2025.
Absolutely. Mercedes-Benz India is also taking few steps towards Make in India. Talk to us more on that.
Yeah, so we have a plant in Chakan, which we are proud of. We have been producing in India, but we were the first to produce a luxury EV in India. We followed it up this year with a second luxury EV, which is an EQS SUV. So that clearly shows that there is a commitment. But more than that, we also have a purchasing office in India, which is trying to source components and parts, not only for India, but for the world. And we are quite successful there. We have been talking to a lot of suppliers, trying to take advantage of the India ecosystem. So I think when you talk about quality, when you talk about cost, India has a strong advantage, and we are trying to take the best out of it by trying to also source out of India for the world. We also have a large R&D and tech center. It's a separate business unit steered by a colleague of mine called Manu Saleh. He's responsible for 10,000 people working on R&D and IT topics in Mercedes-Benz.
Wow.
And we proudly say that there is a India in every Mercedes across the world, because every Mercedes-Benz, something would have been developed out of Bangalore in India. So quite proud to say that even that R&D setup is also quite growing fast. And the third vertical we have is our financial services. It's also now 1 billion portfolio. Again, 50% of our sales that we sell are all financed by the NBFC arm. So Mercedes-Benz in India, a large presence, more than, employment-wise, if you say direct, indirect, more than 20,000 people employed in India from Mercedes-Benz.
Thank you so much, Mr. Iyer, for joining us on WION Business Masters and sharing your insights, your journey, your anecdotes with us.
Pleasure is all mine. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. And with that, we call it a wrap in this edition of WION Business Masters. Stay tuned for our next episode where we uncover more transformative stories from industry leaders.